Hello everybody, today's lecture or discussion is about what's wrong with my life. This is a topic Madhava Puri offered. Yes, you did.
There's nothing wrong with your life.
Not with mine, but in general, people tend to find some complications, some issues with their lives. And we just watched this clip.
I'm just tired of feeling this way, you know? Like I'm stuck, I'm trapped, I'm bored. There's nothing to do. Everything about life has to do with other people, and I don't want to be around other people anymore, 'cause all it is disappointment every time. It's like they want you to be a certain way, but I can't be that way. I feel like I'm not supposed to be a part of this society. I don't fit in it.
I believe it's just average position. Many people would conform to this position. What do you think about this?
I would actually say that he is, in one sense, he's pretty honest, because you see, especially in social media, how people, maybe mostly young people, really want to come across like, yeah, I got everything together, I have living the perfect life, and they used to Photoshop things, and I'm eating this today, and I bought this, So
glamour.
Yeah, he's
fed up with this.
Yeah, he shows some vulnerability to maybe he's complaining too much, but
Too much, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I can't walk a mile in his shoes right now, but
Because that's, I think, the not perfect, but very clear definition of when something is wrong with you, or you feel like something is wrong with me. But there's another contrary type of behavior, like with this clip.
If you feel depressed and misunderstood, what you gonna do? Repress it! When you wanna confront your childhood, are you ready for a breakthrough? No, repress it! Good choice. I'm too apathetic to book myself therapy, contradicting how much I complain about my life. I push all my problems down until they go away. One day I'll explode. Repressing makes me feel nothing. I'm fine. I don't need therapy. I'm good.
They know they're in depression, but they are kind of enjoying it. They suffer, but okay, you suffer, I suffer too. Here's my like for you on social media. What do you think about this behavior?
well, that's also pretty common. That sometimes people actually enjoy being the victim or posing themselves as the victim. It's because of my parents, because of my upbringing, because of society, because this girl broke up with me. Or you always find external sources to your perceived suffering, and then poor me. It's kind of a certain aspect of enjoyment being the victim, because I don't carry any personal responsibility that way. I can always blame everything outside myself. I'm innocent, I'm fine, but unfortunately I'm totally miserable because of all these things happening to me.
Don't you think at some point of time, this person who doesn't want to take responsibility, laughs about his depression, don't want to do anything about it, and then he ends up like the first guy, when he's totally ruined, he's done, so to say, and he ends up with this monologue.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of keep up a show in the long run, because it kind of comes back to you, and then you have to deal with your depression, you deal with your anxiety about your fears of the future, fears of not being loved or liked or validated. It's there. And welcome to life. As he says in the video that this is reality. Yeah, it is also what you make it to one extent, because you also create your own reality in your mind, depending on how you view things like this.
Okay. So before we continue to give super advice on how to deal with these life circumstances, I want to kind of classify, because I was sitting with this topic, what's wrong with my life, and try to classify it by different aspects of things being wrong. First is life circumstances, or so to say, external limitations. It could be money, your upbringing, your country of birth, or living, timing, health, physical disabilities. Then there will be social rejection, feelings of belonging. But actually it's also connected, but it's something external to you. And then it goes to more thinner, deeper things, substances, self-perception and identity. And here's one of them I wanted to talk later more in depth. It's called imposter syndrome, if you know what it is.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, but yeah, it's
And you
just
will
one of
explain.
them. Yeah, like low self-worth, internalized criticism, and so on. And then comes like the deepest level, comparison and expectations. A lot of here comes from influences of social media, comparing to your friends, cultural timelines like success, family, career, feelings of behind. And then depression, anxiety, burnout at work, and so on. Maybe we can start from the top. What if I don't have money? What if I don't have leg, but I wanna, or hand, but I wanna play guitar? My life is miserable, right?
Am I allowed to use some little Sanskrit term?
Why not?
Why not? Because what you just described to me has been classified already in literature which are more than 5,000 years
All right.
old. Yeah.
Maybe that classification is better than mine.
Well, it's maybe a little simpler because what you just listed to me fits really nice in the 3 categories that the Vedic literature presents. Most of what you said is fitting in the middle category that is called Adibhautika. Adibhautika, Bhuta, Bhautika, that comes from, Bhuta means other beings. So how people relate to you on the social front, or if somebody is even robbing you from money or taking it, or exposing you to physical violence. So this, even if a mosquito or a wasp is biting you, that is suffering coming from other bhutas or living beings. However, there are also other the category called Adidaivika. Daivika is a word that comes from Deva, means like divine or natural. And then we speak about bad weather, cold, too hot, wind, snow.
God's sending bad weather.
Yeah, one can say like that. And, volcanoes, earthquakes, blizzards, all these external things that, So, and then the first level is very relevant. That is called the Adhyatmika. Atma means the self.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of misery that you inflict upon yourself due to the habits you have, what you eat and how you drink and how you, and also your mental operating system, how you interpret things, seeing people as friends or enemies or, threats or somebody that you can manipulate, or that all coming from your mind.
All right.
Yeah. So what comes from you and your mind, what comes from other living beings, and what comes from, natural happenings.
All right. And what's the recipe?
Yeah. I mean, we can address what you just said. What if I don't have any money, for example?
Listen carefully.
The bare truth is that you get the money that you deserve. So if you don't get any money, that is because of previous decision you made or actions you performed. It's called karma. And what you can do is to, start acting in such a way that you will attract money if that's what you want. You can pray to God for money. You can start be nice to other people, help them. Maybe they will give donations, because it all comes down to the old biblical saying that as you sow, you will reap. Of course, there are practical solutions, like in Sweden, you can also go to the municipality office and say that I'm totally broke. I can't even buy my own food. And so then they will help you, hopefully, because we have like a social network in Sweden. In other societies around the world, you're totally left to yourself. There is no help really from the government or municipality. And that's also part of your karma, why you took your birth in Sweden or in Russia or in Sudan or in Gambia or something like that. So acceptance is the first step. Okay, I don't get any money. It doesn't help if I complain about it, if I get depressed. I just have to deal with the fact that I don't get any money. So how can I act? How can I think? So that at least I can, survive and then move from there.
Some people have a saying, fake it before you make it. So if you don't have money, you don't have business, you fake it, like you have clientele, so you can sell your services or some, products. Do you agree, or does Vedic knowledge agree with this approach?
Well, there's one interesting way of doing it. Like you say, fake it until you make it, and you present yourself as being... I had an acquaintance like that many years ago who, some or another, he just got himself one of the most expensive suits and watches, and he bought one really fancy car by loaning money, of course. And then he was just moving around in the circles, and people looked at him and thought that, yeah, here's a very successful person, and maybe I should start making business with him, etc., etc. So that's exactly what you're talking about. However, as we understand, it's just a facade. And as it's proven in that case too, many people got cheated, because it was just a shell outside, fake.
But
He no make, but just fake.
But if my intention is to actually become good, be good to people, not to fake, not to fake my services, for example, but maybe fake first impression.
That's something else. It's a well-known fact that if you dress up properly, behave nicely, if you go for a job interview, it's much more likely that they will accept you. But that's different from making fake into a lifestyle, like this person I was talking about. It's a bit different.
I'm pretty sure when a person is kind of desperate with no money, that desperation soaks through, so people feel it, and
Maybe,
they get he gets rejected easier than he would in other circumstances. But so how to come up with a mindset that lets him promote his life, be more successful, so to say, get that money finally. What's the mindset? Techniques?
Well, look, there are basically three categories of people. The one you're talking about is probably the majority that are understood to work hard to get some money or get some fruit, and then so they are quite driven. They endeavor, they work, they're passionate like this. But then you have other people who are kind of satisfied with life. They're I don't need much. I just live a simple life. I'm clean. I'm working,
like
goodness.
An Indian under the tree, yeah?
Well, yeah, that's a stereotype. But you can find these people also that live a very simple lifestyle, but still they're organized, they're clean, they're, polite, and etc. And since I don't need much money, then it's okay if I don't get much money.
Yeah, right. But if you got cut from your last resource, money resource, like job, then you need to do something, some extra effort.
That's
even if
true.
you don't need too much money.
No, that's true. And then the third category I want to mention is those who are more ignorant and they don't care as long as they get their vodka or beer.
They don't care about others or what?
They don't care about themselves even.
Oh, right.
No cleanliness, no endeavor.
No plan to develop as
if
a
you need
person.
some money, you go and steal it from somebody, or you borrow and never pay back. These are the people situated in ignorance, mode of ignorance, and they don't care, basically, for anything. So the problem of acquiring money is mostly for those people who are, struggling, working hard. Maybe they have a big operation going on with wife and kids and relatives and house and, car and summer house and holidays abroad, and it's a whole big factory going on in your life. So if something would interrupt that, that would be more heavy for a person like that. From one day to the next, I don't have any income. It happened to me. So then you become a little bit disturbed, and you have to figure out other ways to, get the factory going.
So I heard from this, I read somewhere in the scriptures, like even Prabhupada, I think he said that this is kind of a blessing when someone loses all his wealth. That's actually what happened to him, I think, when he lost his wealth in his 70s. Not wealth, but some business he had.
Yeah, the pharmacy, like that.
Like maybe it's a sign that it's all right, but not physically all right.
It depends on you as a person. If you're already a devotee, he would see that as a blessing if Krishna dismantles your factory, so to speak, and just leave you alone with, But if you're very much attached to materialistic life and you're really struggling hard to maintain the factory at all costs, then you will be very disturbed if Krishna, or actually material nature, will do the same because of your karma. You see, there's a very important difference. A person who is not interested in spiritual life, is not interested in re-establishing the lost connection with God, doesn't get God's attention. Because why should he interfere? He delegates all the management of karma and all the conditioned souls who are kind of turned away from God to Maya, to his material nature. She takes care of all the interaction.
Dirty work.
Yeah, you can call it dirty work. She supplies the fruits of your good karma, she supplies the fruits of your bad karma. However, if your disposition or mentality is that of a devotee, that you actually recognize as Krishna, you're interested in learning more about him, interested about serving him, it's a very personal approach, and that actually would trigger Krishna's personal attention. Here is a person who really wants to come closer to me. So he tells Maya, okay, you've done your job, now I take over here. And then it says in the Gita, Yoga Kshema Vaham Yaham, I personally carry what you lack and preserve what you have for a devotee. You see the difference? For a devotee, Krishna manages things for the better, that brings you closer. Maya could take away all your wealth, because that's the result of your bad karma. But Krishna may also take away the wealth because he sees this is a big distraction for you. So if he does that, it will be easier for you to focus more on your relationship with God. Yeah?
Okay, focus more. That's the
removing distractions.
Yeah, but sometimes these distractions grow in shape, and
of course.
You have to pay the bills and stuff.
Absolutely. That's true. Krishna is well aware of that, so he will never put the devotee in a situation where he is completely ruined or bankrupt, because it's also a distraction to worry about lack of funds and how can I pay the bills. So he always puts this in a balance. He says this in the Ishopanishad, that every living being has a rightful claim to resources that he needs, but not necessarily what he wants.
Yeah.
So if all this extra that we're spending on distractions, Krishna may remove that, and then you keep what you need. You preserve what you...
Could it be like is comparing with the bank account? So you had a million, and in a week or so you spent the whole sum. You left with zero, although you were eligible for $1 million. You're now with zero. So it's definitely your fault. But as you say, Krishna will still give you some buck from time to time to keep you up, or how it works?
He makes sure that you can sustain your life as a devotee. And of course, that also happens. Krishna may think that, well, now it's time for you to move on. You have managed enough in this lifetime, so now he would arrange that you get another birth, maybe better family and get a better start. And who can read the mind of the Lord? He always sees to the best of his devotee. And as it's stated also in the Bhagavad Gita, that which appears to be poison in the beginning may appear as nectar in the end. They say, oh, I lost so much money, what shall I do, you know? But then you realize that this was actually for my good. Just like material so-called enjoyment may appear like nectar in the beginning, but then it's poison in the end. So one had to see that from different perspectives.
If you go back to the main track or title of our meeting, What's Wrong with My Life, we covered a little bit on the monetary issues or like wealth issues. There could be some physical or, as I mentioned, country or place of birth, place of living, disabilities or limitations. I guess they fall into the same category, right? Of what is it?
Adhibautika?
Adhibautika.
For other living beings. Okay.
And there's no, like, okay, so the recipe for this is the same as we discussed with the money. You also get what you deserve in terms of your wealth, in terms of your place of living.
Frankly speaking, when it all boils down to it's a spiritual problem. Because we misidentify with a material body and a material mind. And when things happen with the body and the mind, we think that it happens to us. And we try to fix our problems either on the bodily platform or on the mental platform, which is not possible really to fix. You can just like you have some little mark and then you put some makeup on it, you know.
But you know, when another misidentified person points you to your passport that you cannot be here, it becomes a problem for Atma or for soul.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it, because you can deal with your plans and your desires in two ways. Number one, if you are refused, like passport control, and you can't carry on with your desire, you can choose to be very upset and very angry and irritated and try to fight. And you can say, okay, maybe this is not the purpose, this is not the point. Then you change your desire. You know? So if you want 1 million crowns and you don't get it, you get frustrated. Why don't I get the 1 million crowns? And then you can say, well, maybe I don't need 1 million crowns. So I stop wishing for it.
It's like, I remember the movie about Forrest Gump when he was running, and all of a sudden he stopped and, well, stop, I don't want to run no more. Is it the same?
Tom Hanks, yeah. That's the thing, people may not look at it this way, because it's a very great relief. If you have a desire or a plan, or you know, like, let's say somebody borrows 5,000 crowns from you, maybe your brother or sister, and they don't pay it back. And year after year, your irritation grows more and more. And finally, you see this person as your enemy. You really hate them. They owe me 5,000 crowns, and now with interest, it's going to be 7,000, 8,000 crowns. And so you constantly go in this kind of state of bitterness towards.
It's bad for you, first of all.
The thing is, you know, if you let it go, what is more worth if you have, you know, a good relationship to your brother or sister or whatever it is, or it poisons your consciousness. So if you forgive that person, that forgiveness is actually the best gift that you can give to yourself.
Do you have to say verbally?
You forgive them in your heart. You may not forget it. So you say, I will never lend any money to this person more, but I forgive him or her. So it's the best gift you can give to yourself. Because then you free yourself.
True, but it doesn't mean that we'll restore the relationship. It's a relief for a person who does this.
Yeah, well, at least it means you will not borrow them any money anymore.
The person maybe feared himself to approach you if he knows he owes you money.
Many times they completely forgot that they borrowed it to you. And since maybe you're not Swedish, but in Sweden we are a little afraid of walking up straight and say, hey, you owe me 5,000. We kind of take for granted that the person will remember and come spontaneously. They may have forgotten about it, you know. So there may be so many different reasons. So this is the thing, if you learn how to let go of your material desires, let go of your resentment to people or to whatever, you feel much
How to
more
let
peaceful.
go? How to let go?
Well, that's an art. Meditation helps.
So I guess there will be like some advice which will be like a long-term practice meditation, or like exact time, very urgent thing to do. Like you're stuck on a customs in a new country with a passport issue. You have to do something right on the spot. There's no any advice.
There
on
is a
that?
saying, God helps the one who helps himself. So you may think about different ways to clear the situation practically. But if you reach the end of the road, you can't do anything else. It's beyond you. What can you do? Sit down, take 3 deep breaths, and think, what's happening here? Start thinking outside the box. Maybe start praying. Please, Krishna, help me. Whatever is your plan, I realize it's better than my dreams. So, so I need,
Kind of try to remember the God, or Krishna, or Jesus, or whoever.
that's always good in these situations. But sometimes we have to face the fact that we did everything we could possibly do about something. Just like staying alive. And even the dearest of our friends and relatives, they will die. I will die. There's nothing we can do about it. You just have to surrender to this and then move on.
Okay.
So I'm saying this is a spiritual problem because it has to do with your body, it has to do with your mind. And you will never fix the problem simply on the bodily or the mental platform, ultimately.
Okay.
Of course, you go to the doctor if you're sick, etc. But the basic problem, why these sufferings are there in the first place, it's a spiritual problem.
Right, and just to clarify, so if you had one situation which you probably didn't overcome in a best way possible, does it mean the life will send you similar situations in the future until you pass the exam, or it might change?
It's called the school of hard knocks or the school of life. So we are here to learn in this world, piece by piece by piece. And we may have to overcome certain personality faults, so to speak, greed, envy, anger issues, So if you learn how to deal with those, then...
But you learn in between those exams, so to say, right?
Well, it's tough when you're in the middle of a situation, but then again, sit down, take 3 breaths and see, how should I respond to this? Otherwise we get all worked up. You know the verse in the Bhagavad Gita 2:62, 63, I think. Kama esha krodha esha rajaguna samudbhava. Kama means the material desires. Oh, I want to go through this passport control. And you don't. Then it comes krodha, anger.
Yeah.
I really. And then where does it come from? Rajaguna samudbhava. It comes from the mode of passion, which kind of forces you to work and struggle hard to be able to enjoy the fruits. So the less you are into this, I have to be happy by all means. I have to work extra hours. I have to make more business, make more money. And you become more stressed out. And the more you let go of this, the less you have to be angry and full of material desires.
Cool. You mentioned this. I think it's Arjuna who said that, no? In Bhagavad Gita, or it was Krishna.
Well, Arjuna is asking how come
yeah, he was asking.
a man
he
acts
just put it out like
sinful activities, even though against his common sense. And then Krishna says it's lust, Arjuna, which is born out of mode of passion.
So, what's wrong with my life? Another aspect of it is Adhidavika.
Yeah.
What could you remind? Does it
Well,
have
there's
to do
external things,
Like
you don't
force
like the
majeure?
weather in Sweden, then you move to Mauritius or...
Like a flood can come, right?
Huh?
A flood can be called that
that's
thing,
true.
or mosquitoes
Yeah.
all over the place. All
Yeah,
mosquitoes.
That's more adiabatic, and that's
Adiabatic,
living beings. So they're always there.
Diseases, COVID.
And the thing is, in this taxonomy, natural phenomena is the thing that you least can affect. You can't stop a hurricane, you can't stop a volcano or an earthquake like this.
Just bear with it.
But with the Adiabatica, you know, for the mosquitoes, you can use those, or wasp, some oil or...
A clawless, at least.
Yeah. And
Clothes
also
and
other
mask.
people, by being humble and friendly, you can also
Pacify.
not trigger their bad behavior towards you. Like that.
I actually heard that in the forest, when there's a lot of mosquitoes and you try to kill them, you better not do it because of the blood that will appear on your skin. The blood will attract more of them, so you have to use some kind of branch to just move them away.
Yeah. Or attract them to some light
it's
source
more-
or whatever. Yeah.
More light methods of dealing
Exactly.
with these problems.
It's also stated in the Veda that if somebody raises a sharp weapon against you, then you are allowed to kill them. So one can say this about wasps or mosquitoes too. But then you have the blood issue, so it's getting very complicated.
So you can compare the tongue, or how it's called,
The spear of the mosquito with a sharp weapon. Yeah.
But it's not intended to kill you. It doesn't even know about your existence. To be
Well,
honest.
I guess we are splitting hairs now. But this is what I heard from devotees, that they're justified in, if some insect is, then well.
Okay, that's
Or maybe we just edit out this section. I don't know.
maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this. That you can kill.
I heard that
insects.
when I was new in ISKCON.
So,
Well, and then the last one is the adhyatmika. That's the suffering
Adhyatmika.
that you cause. That's
Mental.
the area where you have the most influence. Because you can't influence the natural disasters. It's not so easy to influence other people, but you can do it if you're nice to them, because you mirror their behavior. But when it comes to you, it's a lot you can do to minimize the suffering by having good habits for eating and sleeping, resting, and the way you think, how you relate to things. If you're put in a spot in a different situation, how does your operating system work? You take a step back and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then, or you get all upset and,
But I believe some of the mental issues can come from the physical reality. Like you can have some disease and you get some treatment, and because of the medical or lack of physical activity, you get depressed and so on. So
it's exactly what Krishna says in the Gita too. Because if you balance your body and keep it healthy, if you can, then it doesn't cause any disturbances to the mind. Because if the body causes disturbances, the mind is not peaceful. So Krishna says, how can there be happiness if there is no peace? So it kind of link together. Therefore people do yoga sometimes to keep fit, and they eat vegetarian, they meditate, just so that everything is in balance. And when you're peaceful, you can experience happiness, and happiness is actually what you want from life.
Oh, it reminded me about one recent event that happened, very media event, the boxing match between the real boxer Anthony Joshua and some guy from the YouTube, some American YouTuber. But he practiced quite extensively for a couple of years of boxing, so he challenged that guy. But that guy was one head over him, and he punched him, and he kind of cracked his jaw into two places. So he's now in the hospital. I mean, maybe not.
The YouTube guy is in the hospital.
YouTube guy, yeah. But YouTube is first of all, I think he made it for money, and I think they had some script which maybe that boxer guy broke just by going all force, and that's so.
It must have been a really, really hard hit, because they said the jawbone is the hardest bone in the whole body to break.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they say. So it must have been a really big punch.
Wow. But that's an example of probably that YouTuber, I think his name is Jake Paul, he had a super desire to get rich, probably, get hype from this occasion. From
And he
this
paid the
event.
price for that, yeah.
Yes, and so on this example, we can say, don't go for it in the first place, of course. But if you're going for something, you should be ready, prepared.
It's too risky.
He didn't.
Too risky. He should not. I should have just let go of that desire, using his intelligence to say, I can't stand a chance against a professional boxer. He's going to beat the crap out of me. So I don't go there. But he wanted to make a lot of money, so he took the risk and then ended up in a hospital. So that's not very intelligent.
Not very.
Krishna called these people alpa medasam, those people who are kind of poor intelligence. They end up in this kind of trouble.
And you know, whenever I saw him speaking on the line, he just uses Jesus like every other sentence, like Jesus, I believe in God, blah blah blah. But based on his activity, I cannot approve of that. It's so strange.
Well, there's something called paying lip service to things. So you may say anything, but actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
So, and that's not, fake it till you make it. Well, you really have to live your realization, live your knowledge, not just speak about it.
Yeah. But there's another continuation to this episode, is when the match happened. So it kind of attracted attention of not only boxer lovers of boxing, but also the women on the internet or somewhere. So they saw this godly person, Anthony Joshua, how he looks, and they kind of fell in love with him, affected. So appeared another desire in people's minds, attracted them. So the desires, like one after another, they kind of, I think they, as a magnet, get attracted one by.
If we put it in perspective, I'm working on a project right now, researching, because we know from the Vedic knowledge and also from the Abrahamic religions, there's something called the fall of the man, where Adam and Eve were eating the forbidden fruit, and all of a sudden all these desires started to pop up. This was when prema, or divine love, was transformed into kama, material lust. So what happens is that nature places you under ignorance. You forget about your spiritual identity or eternal identity. That's number one. Number two is it presents you with all kinds of distractions and temptations. So this is what we're talking about here. Distractions, distractions, distractions. Like this boxer, for example, he was thoroughly distracted by the desire to make money and be famous on YouTube and all these things. And, we have to pay our price.
So watch less YouTube, except for this program.
No, wait a minute. You were mentioning this other kind of desire from the ladies watching him. So that's the first distraction being presented and the fall of man. That is when all of a sudden Adam and Eve, they started to look at one another with a completely different perspective. That's when they put up this fig leaf and placed it before the privates. And it's stated in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Pungsam strio mituni bhava metam tayorapi hridaya grantimahu. Pungsam strio, man and woman, male and female, and the maituni bhava, the sweet, lovely atmosphere, mood that comes from the union, that is the hard knot of the heart that binds you to the material existence in all species, So that's actually interesting that it developed into that towards the boxer, is the primeval desire. And from that, ato griya kshetra sutta aptavita, it comes all these things that expands. You want to have a home, you want to have offspring, you want to have wealth, land, etc. So then it becomes a whole factory, like we were talking about. And in this way, janasya mohoyam aham mameti, means you start thinking about things in terms of I, me, and mine. My family, my home, my object, my car, me, this body. And you increase the moha, the illusion that you are this body. And everything which are expansions of this body belongs to me. It's my property. it starts with the male and female.
Yeah, sexual
Nothing wrong
desire.
with it. I'm not saying it's bad, but we should look at it in a sober way, so you don't get totally carried away by this whole arrangement. It's there. Most people, they end up in a relationship or get married, get some children. That's fine, but you can do it in different ways. You can kind of hinge your whole existence on my family and my family dinners and visiting relatives and traditions, and it's all about this. I have some friends like that, totally family conscious. It's fine, nothing bad about it, but it gets you so entangled, it gets you so attached. So when there's a disruption, your partner gets very sick or dies, or your child or parent, you're totally devastated because there's so much identification and secondary identification going on. Everything is coming from this male-female knot of the heart.
I actually want to argue a little bit, not that I'm against it, but small kids, they have all sorts of desire except for these lusty desires or sexual desires. So why do you say that lust is a primary feeling?
Well, it's manifest in a different way with children. They can be extremely egoistic, but not to the point that they want to enjoy somebody else's body like that. That comes later. Children are not being conditioned fully when they enter this world. It comes, there's the karma, the way you're born, and there's the nature, and then there is the nurture, how you've been brought up. Nature, nurture, by your parents, by your school friends, by your relatives. So that also shapes you. And if you're in a family where the rest of the family or relatives, they're not very lusty or sexually oriented or something like that, then you can stay innocent in that regard longer as a child or even as a teenager. But then you have your free will, and that means that apart from your nature and your nurture, you still have a choice. And psychologists, they claim that about 35-40% of you or your conditioned nature comes from previous lives. That's your karma at the moment of birth. And then you have another 30% or something, 40 maybe, coming from nurture, how you're influenced by the school or by your parents or siblings or friends. And the last 15-20%, that's how you deal with it with your conscious willpower. So you may be an alcoholic, you've been that your whole life. So you have the nature and the nurture, and then somebody offers you vodka. Still, you have 1% chance maybe to turn it down. That's your free will. But because of a heavy conditioning, it's a 99% chance that you will take the bottle, thank you, and vice versa. If you haven't had alcohol for your whole life, somebody will offer you some alcohol. You say, no. That's 99% chance. You will say no, and vice versa.
All right.
Yeah.
I wanted to continue with the social media impact on life and how people get distracted by it and what to do with this distraction. I don't think the solution could be just turn off your TikTok or turn off your Instagram. So what can people do about it?
Turn off your TikTok and turn off your Instagram.
Written in Bhagavad Gita, right?
Well, the rule number one, you have to live your own life. You can't live others. So if your own life you feel it's empty and meaningless, you will not cure that problem by just looking at everybody else's. That's why you have these magazines for old ladies. They always have stories and photos about the royal family, about some celebrity and how they split up and how they got together. And they read everything about other people's lives while their own life is
But that's
not
like
much happening.
every person on earth does it in some way.
Yeah.
And you say that to them, don't do it. So what they
No.
do?
like always, like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita too, what can repression accomplish? So you should do what you do, but gradually replace it with something higher that gives you a higher taste. You know, you can read a book about the royal family.
How does it work?
It works. You have to introduce something spiritual in your life, something more meaningful that goes deeper, not just satisfying your body or satisfying your mind for a very limited time period, but actually goes deeper and brings joy to you, the observer, the soul.
Is drinking more spiritual than using drugs?
Drinking?
Yes.
No, they're both useless.
They're
I mean,
equally not spiritual.
I mean, using drugs and using alcohol means that you're already living in an illusion.
If I'm super delusional, I don't know what's good, what's bad. Like maybe I'm just checking the McDonald's hamburger without meat first, but it's still McDonald's.
Yeah. You know, it's maybe a small step in the right direction. But what is the use of putting yourself into another illusion when you already are in one illusion? Your illusion thinking that you are this body, that these people belong to me, etc., etc. So then you drink, and then you get more delusional on top of that.
You don't think about it. I
know.
That step.
I know. And that's how it works. So intelligence can save you to some extent, but if you replace it, I remember I used to smoke in my youth many millions of years ago. I tried to stop it, you know, taking chocolate or whatever. Never worked, and I always had well-wishing friends and say, "Come on, it's party today. Why don't you try?" You know, this? And then you fall back into the bad habit. But actually, then I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, reading the Bhagavad Gita and stuff. And it was in those days you didn't have the nicotine plaster or the spray or like this. You only had cold turkey. So then, if I stopped smoking, and when I felt the urge, the desire, I just chanted Hare Krishna, you know. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and it disappeared. It's a funny way to use the mantra, but it brings you in contact with a higher reality, give you a higher taste for a while. So this is the secret. You cannot repress it, but you can redirect it, you know, just like martial arts.
In order to quit, for example, social media and quit the buzz in your head about who you should be, you need to have some practice in place. You need to know first what to do, that you are able to visit some place, maybe a temple, maybe a church. Maybe you have to get acquainted with some people that can tell you about, like you telling about Krishna, someone will tell about Jesus or some other religion. So that is a work to do for everyone, I guess.
It's purification gradually. If you can cut down, and you can also reward yourself. You can say that, okay, every time I say no to social media, I am entitled to feel a better person. You compare with yourself all the time. And if you have one day, hey, I didn't open Facebook once. Of course, then I wouldn't see our discussion either. But anyway, so then, wow, far out, I had a completely clean day. You know? And what did I do instead? Maybe I read a good book or went for a walk or, you know, met a friend or something like that. So we know by intelligence that it's not good for you to be addicted to social media. And it's not only about other people's lives, it's so much, you know, buzz out there, disturbances.
But intelligence doesn't help in this case. It's like
it supports.
we're all like narcoman.
Well, it supports. If you have the desire, this is what you have to develop first. I realize so much social media is not good for me, not good for my mind. It doesn't make me peaceful. I have to cut down. So how do I do that? You do it by cutting down and replacing it with something else. You know.
Yeah, replacing is power. I agree.
You know, Krishna says this in the Gita too. Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sadinam raso varjam rasopyasya parandrishta nivartate. You can't control these things by sheer willpower. But it's hard. It's really tough. Because Arjuna says that the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. But Krishna says it is possible by regular practice. So you do it with willpower, but then at one point you experience a higher taste. And when you get a higher taste, then your mind gets steady. Your consciousness is steady, right? Example of a cheese. You've been eating this plain Swedish household cheese, it's called, for 10 years, and you really like it. And then I come and say, hey, I got this Egyptian cheese now, 3,000 years before Christ. It's really good stuff. No, come on, try it. Okay, and then reluctant, you take a piece and then you eat it. And wow! Oh my God! Where can I get more from that? Then you got a higher taste, right? And then you wouldn't touch the household cheese so much.
Go to Egypt.
Yeah, pyramid cheese. Yeah.
I wanted to also discuss the imposter syndrome. So you said you're not really sure what it is.
Explain.
I can give a short description. So imposter syndrome makes smart, kind, or talented people feel like they're pretending, even when they're doing a great job. And this is the feeling that you don't deserve success. So a person might feel like, oh, I wasn't born that way, it's not for me, or like I'm just stealing all the information from someone and I'm useless basically. I want my cut, I want my money, And I think a lot of people struggle with it because there's plenty of advice how to deal with imposter syndrome. Some people, or like psychologists online, they say that it's good that you have imposter syndrome because it signals that you are in a changing phase, you're shifting your mindset or something like that. What can you say about it? Did you understand what it means?
I think I did. You kind of devalue yourself and your contributions. I believe it's a kind of complex thing, and it's based on low self-esteem originally. And that also comes nowadays. It's a cultural climate, especially to white young men, that you almost feel ashamed of being one. They speak about white men, male toxicity, male toxicity. It's poison. So it's also coming from America a lot. So as a young man growing up being white, and it's not easy. Many of them, they choose to become, I think the word is incel, involuntary celibates, because they don't think they're good enough for any woman. And the women, they've also been taught that, they reject, they make very high demands. And in this way, in many Western countries, there is not rejuvenation of the population to the degree that is wanted. So it's kind of a sick paradigm we're into. And also, meaning if you're an intelligent person and you do good, because then you wouldn't have to be ashamed of that. The idea is not intelligence per se, because even a very evil person can be intelligent and accomplish a lot, building destructive technology or whatever. But the main quality is that you're actually a good person and you have well intent. And then it doesn't really matter if you're super successful on the intelligent plane or you accomplish so much, but your intentions are good. And that is what's giving you good results. Sukriti, we were talking in the other program. You accumulate good karma. So, and then again, if you're intelligent and you don't use it properly and you don't do anything good for others or God.
I believe that imposter syndrome is a popular topic because many young people, for example, they want to start something, maybe a business, maybe an adventure, maybe they want to start a blog as a means of self-realization, but they feel like everything in life is set, or they are just stealing, they don't have any thoughts, own thoughts. So how to approach that? So how can we speak? But by the way, you're a Vaishnava. Do you speak from yourself, or do you always remember Prabhupada and Krishna and the rest gurus?
Probably both.
Both.
There's a famous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 3, the last one, where there is Sutta Goswami talking. That's like the last level of Bhagavatam. He speaks to the sages in the Naimisharanya forest. Because Sutta Goswami, he was there on the banks of the Ganges when Shukadev Goswami was speaking the Bhagavatam to Parikshit. There were so many sages, very powerful individuals, even Vyasadeva himself was there. So Sutta was there listening. So then he brought the knowledge to the sages in the forests in Naimisharanya. And in that verse in the 3rd chapter, he says that now I will try to speak from what I heard from the sages, but also from my own realization, right? So that means he doesn't only repeat, but he also shares his own insights like that, which are very beautiful if you read the Bhagavatam. So this is what we try to do. Out of the two, if somebody's more leaned towards relaying what they heard or read, sometimes it's called parrot repetition, like a parrot you can say. As long as it's accurate, it's okay, you know, even if it doesn't have much realization. The other way around is worse. If somebody's not referring to Shastra or to the Acharyas, but just give a lot of his own mental speculation, that will lead the listeners astray. But the best thing is, if you have a self-realized person who understands these things deeply, who is connecting it all the time by quotes from Prabhupada, from the books, that combination is very good.
Interesting. So if a person, for example, wants to be, I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking of a guy who wants to be a blogger and he wants to teach how to repair a car. So if you say he's a parrot, he repeats everything from manuals about reparation of any devices inside the car. But should people go to him? Probably no, because he's not that deep. He had no practice in what he's talking about. So how come that you just become a parrot and you're eligible for?
Yeah, I mean, there are people in India who are speaking the Bhagavatam. Maybe they're just reading it also, but they do it to make money. So it's the intention there, which is, you know, so Prabhupada always used to emphasize over and over again, you have to seek a spiritual teacher. That is this Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnana sevaya upadekshante te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. That's the famous 34th verse of the 4th chapter of the Gita. It said you have to look for a spiritual teacher, and you should go there with a, you know, the recipient has a good attitude as well. He shouldn't be challenging and criticizing. He should be humble and inquisitive and with a serving attitude that is pleasing to the teacher. And then the teacher realizes this is a qualified candidate, because Tattva Darshana, this person has seen the truth. Tattva means truth, and Darshana means seen. So it means that he has realized what he's talking about.
Realized knowledge.
Yeah, realized knowledge. Yeah. That's the difference between jnana, means knowledge, and vijnana, means realized knowledge.
Yeah.
That you live the knowledge, not just memorize.
And therefore this syndrome exists, because people feel they have no realized knowledge about anything in life. They cannot speak, and that shuts them up completely, and their life becomes miserable for some reason. You know, they don't have experience. They cannot approach a woman because they're white, how you say, oppressed guy, and so on. So many problems coming out of this idea that they actually don't know. They don't have this vijnana. And is there a way to approach vijnana?
They can look at the sages, the spiritual teachers of the past, the way they used to deal with this. They would sit down together, we may call it calibration, and they were discussing spiritual topics.
You mean sages and their disciples?
No,
just sages.
Just sages, like the, you know, disciple, you have the teacher-student relationship, but between the sages you have the peer relationship. So you spoke with other realized souls, some topics, and you kind of get calibrated, means that you bounced up your realization and he told you his, and
It's
you know,
not, it's
most
not
of the
arguments. It's not argument.
no, not really. I mean, they could, of course,
What's the
come
goal
from.
of this?
They could come from different backgrounds. Some may come from more impersonalist background, but generally they were convinced about the superior personalist view, like that, in the philosophical discussion. But they were people more on the same level. And that's a very pleasurable situation where they come together like this. In the Gita again, it says, Machita Margata Pranambodhayantas Parasparam. They get together and actually they speak philosophy, glorify God. And it becomes a very pleasing, fulfilling atmosphere. So if you translate that, if you if you have some realized knowledge as a car mechanic, for example, you can meet with other car mechanics and calibrate and learn from one another how to fix things, how to diagnose things.
Networking is an answer.
Networking, yeah, we used to have like trade unions even before, you know, at one particular trade, then they could get together a meeting and discuss their business and their, you know, and their operations. Birds of a feather flock together. So just sitting alone in your room and watching social media and feel bad about yourself, although you may be qualified and want to do good, that's not nice. You know, you should get out there and meet like-minded people, those who also want to do good and use their skills and knowledge. You can start networking online, and you know, but it's always best to meet in person because then you can do things together.
So that also can be a tip on how to get money when you're like have nothing, right? So you can go networking, find the people who are like-minded, or just listen to some people, maybe get some ideas on what they are doing, and if they know more than you, or you already know something. Or,
and you can share on social media. I don't remember the name now. I'm looking for it. There is a Patreon. It's called Patreon. That you have a particular skill.
Subscription-based services.
So it's knowledge. You sell your knowledge. You make good instruction, and people subscribe. You get some money for your maintenance, and you are able to share.
The different forms, like as you mentioned, the service.
It's one of the oldest ones, I think, the Patreon. There are others too, no?
A lot of people are selling. I think they're selling some junk. It's called digital products. So
okay.
But I think it's junk from. I'm not sure about everything.
It's probably infiltrating in all levels of society.
Gypsies, we call them.
Yeah. They had this, I don't remember what it's called, snake oil, I think it was called, in America, like 100, 150 years ago. Somebody was selling snake oil that could cure anything. And people thought, wow, you know, it's bought for good money. And he really filled his pocket. But this substance was completely useless. So you have digital snake oil also in the internet today. So you better watch out.
But as you said, if your intentions are good and you really, for example, you know some topic and you make this product, or you register on Patreon to get the subscription fees, and your intentions are good and you try your best to provide the content.
Honest work.
That can work.
Yeah, honest work. I mean, you should be careful because there is a lot of fraud going on in different ways. It's also there in the Bhagavatam. You know, it says, Andaya tanda upaniyamana tepisha tantram uru damni bada. Anda means blind. So there are blind men leading other blind men. And the end result is that they're just completely tied up to the material existence, falling in the black well.
You should be really aware of who you're listening to, right?
Yeah, you should really put it to the test, you know, because some people, they want to be cheated. We have this phenomena, you go to some guru, some or another, most of them come from Tamil Nadu in India, seem to have a guru factory. You have put a bed sheet on your head and grow your beard. Yes, everything is one. You are God, I am God. I teach you the secret mantra, you pay me money, and in 6 months you will realize you are God, you know. And people, I want to become God. So pay, you know, $1,000 to this total fraud and fake. That's the example of blind men leading other blind men.
You reminded me of a really funny, for me it's so funny, but also sad story that just happened recently.
Really?
There's one guy in Ghana, the black guy, he kind of self-proclaimed preacher, I don't know who he is,
in
Messiah.
Africa,
And he built like 8 boats, saying that on the 25th of December there will be a flood, and he welcomes everyone to join him on board these boats, so they will be saved. As
It was a few days ago, right?
Yes. So
There should be
time
some
ticked.
time
ticked, and nothing happened. And that guy said, "Okay, we're probably saved for now. Let's go home."
God saved
But
us.
I also saw a short clip with him as he rode his new Mercedes-Benz, which he bought on donations, and people actually started to worry, why are all the donations coming to? So it's like endless story.
It's happening all the time, yeah. So why life sucks, it's because we made the wrong decision coming here in the first place. This place is not a place for a gentleman. And Srila Prabhupada said that, somebody asked him, why is there so much suffering in this world? And Prabhupada said, well, it's just to remind you that you don't belong here. Yeah.
I also see how a lot of, like everyone, every senior person is involved in politics, discussing the politics, and how it doesn't help anyone. It's just a waste of time, to be honest, in my opinion, because you cannot affect the presidents or anyone. You cannot even select them.
It's so much on social media, what's going on all over the world. In China, Taiwan, Middle East, and Russia, Ukraine, Venezuela, and America. I mean, distractions. What can you do? Just distractions.
Yeah.
Totally. That is what, the Bible called it, temptation. The same thing as distraction, resulting in attachment. And then attachment are the shackles that binds you to the material illusion, You identify with a nationality, and you think you can affect things by watching, politics on YouTube or whatever it is. This body is meant for self-realization. So Bhaktisiddhanta had this verse from the 11th canto, chapter 9, text number 29, where he says that even though this body can die at any moment, it still can award you the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, which is only available in the human form of life, not in any other species. They are simply attracted to sense enjoyment, no matter how abominable it is, that the flies are eating stool or the hogs or, So one should not delay, one should put this as one's topmost priority in life as a human being, to realize your true self and its relationship to God.